welcome on board, everyone. Get on board. It's time for Three Guys Before the Game. Our summer series continues. And have I ever said we got a good one for you?
No, not once.
How many episodes is this?
This makes 643 if you're scoring at home. Getting close to the end, aren't we, man? Not going to see 800, so this is getting closer to the end of this.
But the point was, that's a lot of episodes when we finally got a guest that probably should have been here about 300 episodes ago.
He was busy.
Busy. He was busy.
We're lucky we have him ready to go for today's show after he spent probably a good half of an hour of treating Kirchhoff before we started to roll tape.
He did, actually.
It was kind of embarrassing for the others of us here.
Wait, why was it embarrassing, Randy?
Our special
guest. Because he was trying to sit down for the show, and you're over there, you're making him work. He's not here to work.
Thank you. Our special guest is retired WVU basketball athletics trainer, Randy Meador. This is going to be good because if you're a Mountaineer fan, you've heard his name countless times. Quite honestly, Jack Fleming said his name more than I would. Jack would get at least 6 obligatory Randy Meador references in each game broadcast.
Now, trainer Randy Meador is coming to the courts.
Randy is on the floor, and Randy is holding the towel. He'd get Randy's.
You usually get a couple in there.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And we'll talk about it. Three Guys brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer. They just simply won't. By Comax Business System, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get that Gomart rewards card and immediately begin saving on your food and fuel. Get it off your app store or just go to Gomart.com for the details. They got some incredible specials.
Great deals.
They got a 75-foot Slim Jim.
No, they don't.
In there right now, in a Reese cup the size of a manhole cover that you can ask for. You have to cut it with a chainsaw.
Probably a big
Gomart.
pepperoni roll in there too.
Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. They have supplied every pontoon boat that you've ever seen on a James Bond movie. Celebrating their 40th anniversary at Lou Wendell Marine Sales. And by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. Randy Meador can eat pretty well. Can you eat 2 Tudor's biscuits in one sitting?
No, I think so.
Okay, good. You better get up on that mic. Get easy. See his voice. Quiet. I need to give background here. Let me tell you who this dude is. This young man is that young man over there.
There it is. There it is.
Is Randy Meador. He is the outgoing basketball athletic trainer, certified athletic trainer for West Virginia basketball, and he has an historic spot all time in WVU basketball.
Incredible
in that
run.
He did the job longer than any athletic trainer in WVU history.
Longer than Whitey Gwynn?
Dwarfed Whitey Gwynn as far as years of total service. I looked it up.
Did you?
So Randy has just finished year 40 or 41, however you want to count it. So this is the beauty and this is the magic of this show. So you're going to go back into basically year 6 of Gail Catlett. So we're talking 84 season. So he has been here through Gail Catlett, who had a 20-plus year run, into John Beeline, into Bob Huggins, into Darren DeVries, the quickest tenure, and
Dan Dockage. Don't forget Dan Dockage.
Well, back up Josh Eilert.
Josh Eilert for the interim season. So you get the perspective on this. This is a guy who has literally seen and been a part of WVU basketball for 40-plus years.
When is the book coming out?
Yeah, that'd be good. Now let me just say this. This is the other little dirty unknown secret about this side of the business, and that is this. If you think that the athletic trainer, like his job is he sits toward the end of the bench and goes out onto the floor when a player is injured, that would be like saying, I don't know, that there are fish in the sea. This is a job that begins before anyone comes into the building, doesn't end until everyone's out of the building, and it literally is. It literally is. You're on call 365 days a year. There is no off season because for a bunch of different reasons. So, with that all as the premise to this conversation, like, congratulations first on your retirement. Incredibly well deserved. I mean, I'm tired for you when I think when I think about what you have gone through the years. But it's been a fascinating run, hasn't it, of what you were able to get into and experience and see.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I still think the 40 years has flown by. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of great games, a lot of great trips, great people be around.
I can't believe he's retiring. I mean, it's just because he's like an institution. You'd see him.
It's Randy Meador. Yeah, it's kind of like Mountaineer, Randy Meador. Like Mountaineer's here, so is Randy Meador.
Yeah. Mountaineer changes frequently, though.
He does. He does. Okay, so let's jump all the way into the background. You've got an interesting background in that your dad was not an athletics trainer, but you were born into the college world environment. You're from the state of Ohio, Oxford, Ohio, Miami of Ohio. So how does a nice guy like you get into a business like this?
So my dad was a audiovisual manager. He did photos and still shots and everything back with Miami he did it for, I think, 35, 38 years or something.
So the Meadors work long term. They don't go in. Yeah, they're not temps.
You're not job hoppers.
I would say I got a lot of my work ethic from him.
Right.
And everything. But so, you're starting middle school or whatever, but you can go hang out with Miami football, Miami basketball. It's a cool place to be,
right?
Because you looked up to them. And, so I'm hanging out with him, helping carrying his cases because it was old school. So, the old equipment.
Everything's heavy.
Heavy.
Video cameras were big.
Yeah.
Everything's heavy.
Yeah. And the athletic trainer at Miami, he just kind of saw me and just kind of grabbed me and said, well, if you're just hanging out, why don't you come over here and experience this and see what you think? And he had summer camps and stuff like that.
So you're middle schoolish now?
That was middle schoolish, but yeah, when I was in high school, then there was summer camps and things like that because middle school was too young. But
right.
He just kind of took me under his wing, and I was like, well, this is a heck of a lot cooler than watching my dad take pictures, So
you started hanging out with him.
So yeah, I started hanging out with Ken Wolford at that time, and went to the summer camps, and I mean, I was all in. It was really fascinated me, and I just really enjoyed it. So, I go to school at Miami, and then, like I said, I kind of trusted him. He took me under my wing. I was like, next step, because I knew what I wanted to do. To get to the college setting, you need to get a master's.
So you knew you wanted to be a collegiate athletic trainer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, well, I think the best thing for you to do would be go to WVU for grad school. So, off to interview.
Why does he send you here?
He had some previous students that came here, and he knew Spike and everything too.
So Spike is John Spiker, who I identify as the godfather of athletic training curriculum at WVU.
Definitely.
He was the guy.
Yeah. So, go learn more from him. And then, just right place, right time. As I was finishing up my GA year, men's basketball athletic trainer, he left, and they were going on a European tour. So they needed to hire someone quickly. So that was me. So
who was the trainer you preceded?
Jim Rudd.
Jim Rudd.
Yeah, he was here just 1 year.
Now, Jack Brodigam was around too, right?
Right, yeah. Just before he was with them, I think 2 years prior to that. So, and then Jack had left to go to the Army to get his PT degree.
So you're a GA, and they just elevate you to the...
I was interim the first year, yeah. Interim,
So that's a big... Okay, so to put that into perspective, like, that isn't happening anymore.
Nah, I don't see that. Yeah, we would... I hate to say frown upon that, but it'd be a very unique situation. But again, Jim quit, and we were going on a European tour pretty soon, so there wasn't a lot of time to find someone. So, Coach Catlett interviewed me and everything, and said okay, but they put me at interim status. But then obviously I worked out.
Do you remember the interview with Gail Catlett?
Very thoroughly. Another media person kind of beat you to the punch on that, but that's okay. But so I'm over there interviewing him, and oh, you're from Miami? Well,
oh,
Coach
here
Catlett
you go.
was at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So, he's like, we don't like Miami. He's giving me a hard time. And then, as a GA, I was a GA over at football. Oh, football, the basketball.
Oh, yeah.
So, this interview is going really well,
For those that don't know, football coach, there's this frenemy thing that goes on. Football coaches always pretend that they like the basketball coach. The basketball coach always pretends that they like the football coach. But when they're away from each other, they just kill each other's program. Like, I don't know why the hell football gets all the damn money.
Right.
And like basketball football guys are going like, what the hell are those guys doing over there? What do they need that for? They only have 15 guys. That's the world that this is.
Yeah,
Anyway.
So the interview is going really well. I'm sitting here like, this is great.
Guy's crushing me.
Yeah. But then Lester Rowe walks in, and Coach, Lester, of course, the great guy. So Lester, how you doing? You know Randy? He goes, oh, yeah, I know Randy. He's a great guy. When we was at football, because back then the Coliseum, that side of campus, had no weight room.
Right.
So
you guys go over to
basketball came
football.
over and lifted at football with Al Johnson. And he goes,
yeah.
whenever we need anything, Randy will help us out. You do this, do whatever. And, I like football. I like basketball. I like sports. I like helping people out. So, I knew Lester and everything. And so Lester gave me a pat on the back and, voted confidence and everything else. And then after that, it was all good.
You were in with the cat.
You were a made man. Lester got you in there.
Lester, he really did. Yeah, because that interview was going really well. I had to be honest. Yeah, I'm from Miami. Yeah, my GA position was at football, but I know basketball too. Played a lot of basketball and worked basketball in undergrad. So
back up a little bit here when you said you were interested in it right away. So that was obviously not something you'd thought about. You didn't even probably know that was a path or a career.
No.
What interested you specifically?
The ability to be able to help, athletes recover, understand the body anatomy and diagnose injuries and, figure this out and work as a team as athletic trainers and team physicians and everything like that. I just found it very intriguing.
See, I don't know why you would ask him that question, because what he just said is exactly what he did before the show started. He still loves to help people. Like Hoppy said, I've got this IT band situation. He goes out there, he gets on his phone, he shows them what roller he's supposed to use, he gives them exercise. So you still love the actual.
Yeah, I'm going to miss that aspect of it. But we're, Hoppy and I are bikers, so bikers stick together.
Yeah,
so
exactly. You could do a clinic.
What's interesting about what the reason I asked that is because it's another example. How many times have we done this and talked to people? There's a single individual that kind of grabs you and says, hey, take a look at this in an area that Randy may never have seen. You could have bypassed that and never seen that area, and yet it not only turns into a job and a career, but something you really love. Those stories always are remarkable to me. That's a lot of times all it takes is one person just saying, hey, take a look at this.
Seminal
moments. Boom, you're seminal moment. You're off and running.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And then we've been reflecting, a lot recently, and the saying, if you find what you enjoy to do, you never work a day in your life. Right. And that's another thing, when 40 years goes like that, you got to figure you were in the right profession. Yeah. I still, I going to work, going up and down the Coliseum steps, that never got old or whatever. So yeah.
That's neat.
You're gonna miss it, aren't you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of aspects I'm gonna miss. Yeah.
What are you gonna miss the most? The games, the people you become close to, the work itself. What are you gonna miss the most, do you think?
The first two, the games. I still really enjoy the games.
Sure.
I always told my wife Bev, if when I get tired of travel, I'll look for something else, and I still enjoy the travel.
Yeah.
I still enjoy the travel. Going to different places.
Sure.
The people that we've gotten to know, within the Big 12, we have our own little athletic trainer, group and everything. So yeah, I like that. The got a whole new group of players in, but I've been very impressed with the quality of the players and their personalities and everything.
Oh, geez, I don't know why you had to assault him.
Get you up there.
So that bonding I'll miss, but also look back, there's been 4 coaches in 4 years, and there's been totally new teams the last 2 years. We had Ofri as a holdover and AB as a holdover, but they both redshirted, so we have 0 points coming back, So you don't have the bond that you have that you used to develop, and like with the Deshaun Butlers or the Truck Bryants or John Flowers.
The Hair Bears, watching those guys grow up in that team, that was...
Yeah, you miss those kind of relationships. I just don't see those happening in the future, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So those are factors that were involved in my decision.
Think about this. You started Atlantic 10.
Yeah.
You've gone Atlantic 10, Big East, Big 12.
Yeah.
Just think about the bizarre. If you were to say that in 1984, Randy, before you're done here, you're going to stay at the same school and be in the Big East, the Big 12. You go like, yeah, I don't.
And almost in the Pac-12 too, if you want to, right? I mean, you've gone from St. Bonaventure to Utah.
Seriously,
right? That's a heck of a swath of geography there that you've covered.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me ask you a couple of technical
he's going to
things.
his legal pad. This is always trouble.
What are you asking him? What do you mean technical things? Like how to treat an ankle?
What are you going to
No,
talk
IT band.
Going to talk about a multifidus strain, pronation, subluxation? What are you doing?
How do you help, Randy, don't pay attention to these guys. How do you help a player understand the difference between pain and soreness?
Oh,
No, that is a good question.
Good question.
Thank you. Thank you,
Way to
Brad.
go, way to go, Junior.
Well, the pain I want to take care of and evaluate. And even when I'm doing a long-term rehab, if they wake up sore the next morning, then I think we worked them about the right amount.
Okay.
If they're continue to be sore halfway through the day, I say afternoon, then maybe we did too much. Okay. But the pain I expect to see symptoms of inflammation like swelling, redness, loss of function. Soreness, I mean, we're all not that young right now.
Yeah.
We probably all wake up with a little bit of soreness in the morning, but as we start moving around, it disappears.
How do you help, though, the player up here understand the difference between pain and soreness? Because what's the player going to say? Player's going to say it hurts.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well,
Or the
that's-
opposite, or I'm fine.
Or I'm fine,
and
yeah.
not
Yeah.
tell you how hurt they are.
And that's my job to figure that out. And then just like I told you, I explained to them, my job is to help educate them and then, apply that. If the soreness is not affecting them, it's just, they just feel a little bit, but they can still run the court full speed, change direction, do what they need to do. I don't say we disregard it, but I still want to work with them to try and help eliminate that. Someone with pain, again, I might suspect they have swelling or something else going on, then we need to treat that, and they're probably going to be a step slow or something's going on there.
one other question about that. And then, so what role have you played with coaches, if any, over the years? And maybe it's different with different coaches as to, can this guy go and how hard can he go?
That's the great
that's a
fundamental
great
The crux
question.
of the profession right there.
And that goes back to this total roster changeover. And I'm not the only one. I mean, us as athletic trainers communicate, and, this is happening across the country. But, someone asks you, so-and-so got hurt, what do you think? Well, it's the first time. It's like dealing with 15 freshmen now or whatever, because it's the first time I've seen this person injured. I have nothing to go from. Is he a sweller or not a sweller? Is he a tough guy or is he not a tough guy? Is it pain or is it soreness? So, I have to, unfortunately, I may not look as smart because I don't know this individual as well. And I know a lot. I'll be a lot smarter tomorrow when I see him in the morning and see there is swelling, there isn't swelling. There's full motion, there isn't full motion. So, you don't always know immediately the severity of that injury. Now, very severe injuries,
Sure.
Yes, you do. But that middle of the road, that second degree, you don't know as well. And it takes a little bit more time since you don't know these athletes.
One other question I want to go to these guys is that, so, and again, you don't have to name coaches or particular instances, but have you had instances where coaches have said, Randy, dang it, well, they might say something else, get this guy ready to go?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh, yeah, I've had that.
Probably happens all the time.
All the time.
I would think, right? If from a coach perspective, you need your guys back on the floor. So I would think that happens
But
a lot.
different caliber with different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah,
Sure.
that, as long as they know, in the old days, we didn't even have MRIs, but when the doctors said they're cleared, coaches wanted them cleared and playing,
Okay.
And if MRI came back and it's good, they want them back playing,
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely.
All right.
You take over in 84, immediately you go on a foreign tour.
Yes.
I'm just trying to do the math in my head. I bet you've gone on over 10 foreign tours. Have you counted?
I've never counted them up. And
You went on Atlantic 10 trips, right? Haven't you done?
yeah, with
You were
Atlantic 10 All-Star
Atlantic
trip.
10 All-Stars.
We used to have that. Yeah.
So you've been
went on-
around, as they say, right? he's been around.
Yeah.
He's been
For
around.
a little kid from Oxford, Ohio, I never would have thought. You know,
Right,
all
you've
those
been to
countries
Italy. I mean, do you count them up? Where you been?
Italy, Spain, Northern Europe. That first trip, I think, was 5 countries, 10 games in 14 days, all on bus. You know,
10. Oh, say that again. 10 games in 14 days.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
the
that
old
was
school. That's the old school overseas trip.
Barnstorming.
Yeah,
Right?
last 10 All-Stars.
Where now you're like 3, and
Like a
we
week
can
and a
debate
half,
if they're
yeah.
actually games or not when you go over at
Yeah.
times.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's-
yeah. But that was there was competition back then.
Yeah, sure.
And somewhat maybe fights, but yeah. Then I've been to Japan, Seoul, South Korea, and Hong Kong, Australia twice. One included New Zealand. So
Jeez.
Cat used to like Australia.
yeah,
The cat used to
but that
like-
it was pretty cool too. The second time was 2000, so they were getting ready for the Olympics. So we were able to tour the Olympic site.
right, all stuff.
So that was great.
And then the November tournaments, right? Puerto Rico's and the whole
Yeah, Bahamas.
Bahamas and San Juan and there's
Charleston.
Charleston,
Myrtle Beach.
Vegas, just all over the place.
Yeah.
Germany, when you played Texas A&M. And
Oh yeah, really? That was it's an overseas, but it was one game. Germany. That was a great trip until the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a good day to be a Mountaineer,
Yeah, that
wherever
first half was bad. Yeah.
wherever you may be.
Yeah.
Any of these names from the 84-85 team stand out to you? Dale
Dale
Blaney,
Blaney, still in touch with him.
Are
Yeah.
you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bernardo Brown, J.J. Kroll, Holman Harley
Oh,
was on that team.
Bounce dunk. Yeah.
The bounce dunk in the NCAA
Yeah.
tournament.
Vernon Odom, Daryl Pinckney, Lester Rowe from Buffalo.
That guy kind of helped me a little bit.
Yeah. Eric Simich,
Eric. Yeah.
Wayne Yearwood was on that team.
Sure. Is it fair to say that Dale Blaney and Eric Semish, two names that you just mentioned, are probably in your top 10 list of most enjoyable knuckleheads that you worked with?
Yeah. I was going to say goofballs, but yeah.
Yeah. I just remember that they had a great rapport with you, and it was a nonstop comedy show. Those guys were knuckleheads.
And that was before Seinfeld and everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, just to kind of go into it now, John McKinney, our legendary radio engineer for the Mountaineer Sports Network, and Jim Galuski, who was the film guy.
Yep.
So it was like this pack. It was John McKinney and Jimbo, and like Randy would kind of be like third party, and Blaney and Semish, and there would be on the road, they would constantly engage in practical jokes against each other to the point where they got keys to get into each other's room.
Oh, really?
McKinney would go in back then, old school phones, unscrew the phone. McKinney would go in, unscrew the phone so the mouthpiece wouldn't work, and then start calling over, and they, hello, you could hear it, hello, and they're screaming, and they're going, they did everything. They did shaving cream. On the phone, you put it in, you got it on your ear. They just planted everything.
Kool-Aid in the shower.
Kool-Aid in the shower, water the mattress, and that was those guys.
Kool-Aid in the shower. That's a good one.
Did everything.
How do you do that? Just unscrew the thing and put.
Oh yeah.
Put the powder
Oh
up
yeah.
in there. Yeah.
The McKinney was like MacGyver. It was fun.
Oh, yes.
Legendary Woody O'Hara. I mean, it was like a traveling road show. And Jack was a character. Woody was a character.
Mickey went on a few trips.
Mickey Faferi would travel with the team, and it was just like it was Seinfeld. It was fun. It was like a band of brothers. Like, hey, we're going in there, because Gail was perfect at like creating the tension of like it's us against all these Atlantic 10 schools, right? Like Rhode Island doesn't like us. We don't like them. The Temple thing, the whole Temple thing. Temple, like, hey, when we went to Temple, they gave us 9 towels. When those bastards come back, all they're getting is 9 towels. That's it. You understand? I mean, it was constant.
But we had, when Bill Cosby was well respected, we had so many battles at Temple, and Bill Cosby came over our locker room, win and lose sometimes, and just give his credit for how good the games were and how strategic those games were.
Yeah.
Because, no shot clock. He was holding the ball. Some of those scores were
yeah.
44-42, and every possession was just tension.
2-3 zone.
No,
Yeah.
1-3-1.
Was it 1-3-1? I mean,
Yeah,
the Temple
was
ran.
1-3-1. Yeah,
It was a
Temple won.
matchup kind of crazy thing that he
yeah.
did. He was good.
Yeah, it was a good coach.
Yeah, those were some fun games.
Remember when Tom Penders got it going at Rhode Island? There was this great hostility and animosity between the two schools to the point where Penders had to have a security guard when he came here. When the Atlantic 10 tournament was held here, he had a dude. Brought a dude from Rhode Island with him. Oh, yeah, because it was hot.
Yeah.
Randy, during the games, are you into the games and what's going on and the strategy, or are you just kind of preoccupied with?
Oh no, yeah, I'm a big basketball fan. Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. We played a lot of basketball at lunchtime on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, we had a lot of basketball.
Lots.
Yeah, lots of basketball.
Lunchtime basketball, Garrett Ford, Rocky Gianola, and a guy named Brad Howe.
No, I never played.
You never went?
I would never go down and play.
Reason?
Yeah.
Just once I was done playing, I was done playing. Rarely picked it up
Interesting.
again.
You'd watch.
I'd go out and see him out there.
Heavy
Yeah.
contact in those games.
Well, Coach
Garrett,
Ford, yeah.
Garrett Ford's elbows were flying a lot. I didn't have time to get hurt. I didn't need to get down in the lane with Coach Ford's
he would-
elbows flying.
he would take
True?
people out.
Elbows were flying. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So
He knocked one guy flat. Won't say his name or anything. He looked up. He goes, "You can't do that." He goes, "I just did."
yeah. See?
And
Garrett played at DeMatha.
Yeah. Didn't need that.
Old school. It's just think, have you count the victories of the coaches that you have worked for? Gail, Hugs, John, right?
yeah.
Amazing. So let me ask you some coach questions.
Please be careful.
No, I'm not, nothing dangerous at all. So they've all had ultra levels of success. All-time winningest coach is Gail Catlett. What made Gail as good as he was and as successful as he was? What did he have?
Even back in that time, I think he had good strategy. I mean, you had that trapping press and a matchup 2-3 zone that, it wasn't a standstill 2-3 zone. I think that confused opposing teams, and he would change frequently on timeouts, and he would change his defense a lot on makes and misses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that was always done back in that era or time.
Great stuff out of timeouts too, offensively.
Very good ATO
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, he's good
He
strategy.
could draw it up.
He'd draw it up, and he'd get
Yeah.
you some good
He knew
stuff.
the weakness. Yeah, he knew that he could play off the weakness of the other team.
Yeah.
So
All right. Hugs.
he was demanding and wanted to outwork everybody. I mean, those 3-hour practices put work ethic in everyone, and I think we'd wear down. I mean, how many times did it come down to that last 4-minute timeout? And, we could, if we were 4 points down going into that last 4-minute timeout, still felt like you're going to win, because we would just wear people down, overall. And then, when the press was happening too, our press was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And 40 minutes seemed like nothing after 3-hour
Yeah,
practices.
exactly. Exactly.
Went by pretty fast.
Beeline.
I think the whole different offensive strategy. At that time, I don't think he had one thing going on one side of the court, one thing going on the other side of the court. Hadn't really seen that 1-3-1. I mean, we joked about that with Temple, but it seemed like Temple was the only school running that way back then. And in 2000s, I don't think we saw a lot of 1-3-1. And then just the movement of the ball and the chemistry. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors maybe for 20, 25 seconds. Then boom, he would get that going, whether it was
Cut
a back door
Or a
Spitznagel
wide open
hitting the
three.
three.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because the back door's there. Oh, there's Spitznagel standing in the corner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Darren, it was quick.
It was
Good
quick,
stuff.
but I mean, how we go in 19 games, with the players and the injuries that we had and everything. Again, another very good strategy person and good at timeouts, and he got those guys to believe in themselves, and even with the 7-8 players to be able to win 19 games, that was, I think, a hats off to
Incredible.
the players.
Yeah, agree.
Sometimes we sit here and we, I don't want to say, I don't know if the words marginalize, or we don't put the significance into what it is. You think, oh, basketball, it's a sprained ankle. It's they bump forehead, you got stitches. And this is delicate. I mean, you're put into some life-threatening situations. You've through the years, you have been close to situations that literally could be fatal if you weren't there?
Unfortunately, yes. Had 2 incidents in the last previous 2 years, and those, you don't enjoy those at all, but your prior training and what you've learned, you do put that to use. Like Hoppy said, I'm a basketball fan, but yeah, I have to, I'm there for a medical reason, and I'm there for a reason I need to do my job. And I try and teach younger athletic training students and people that, we don't need to be there to be aggressive. We need to be assertive, though, when it's our time to do something. I mean, we don't want coaches or other players handling injuries. That's what we're here for. So, when that does happen, if I can do nothing the whole practice or a game except my little job, then that's fine. But when someone does get hurt, you have to be assertive and take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the thing about that is, it literally happened in a split second. Something can happen in a split second. And obviously the one we can talk about is a cook because it happened in a game and in the exhibition game. And everyone saw that happening. And literally, it is a moment of just the unknown.
Yeah.
And you have to aggressively get in there, and it's you guys do not get the recognition that you deserve. When we had John Spiker in here a long time ago now, a couple of years, and there's that, and you'll know what this is. There's a football injury that happens when a collarbone can cut off the windpipe.
Mm-hmm.
And when you run out onto that field and that person's down, now, so number one, you're starting off, you have zero idea exactly what you're going to get to when you get there. And then you look down and you immediately have to make an examination and get your hand down in there to get that bone away from there so the air isn't cut off. I mean, it's just, we take this stuff for granted, but you're saving lives.
Yes. It'd be nice if my whole career I didn't have to worry about that, but yes, you're totally correct. And that's why we have our education and planning and practice and prevention in those areas for those moments that do happen. And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and you're there for the student athlete. It would be nice if, and no disrespect, if, coaches would appreciate that, because, let's be honest, it's sports, it's athletics, but it shouldn't be life or death. But there's times it can be that. And, then we go back to, the coach just wants them back out there. We need to be looking out for the health and well-being of the student athlete. Yeah.
How much has the technology changed since you started, as you've gone from and breaking open the ammonia cap to concussion protocol, for example?
Like concussion, I mean, that's, we were in the dark ages, and then, around 2000, it started getting more and more important, and obviously the diagnosis of CTE. And then we probably jumped over too much to being too conservative. And then some great research came out of Buffalo and everything. And, now controlled exercise helps with the rehab. And so I think we're in a pretty good place now with concussions. But, unfortunately, even minor concussions takes the honesty of the student athlete or the professional athlete to admit that something's wrong, because every concussion isn't obvious. You don't have to lose conscious. You don't, a football player with a helmet, you may not always recognize that they're having a mild concussion immediately. So you need their honesty to let you know. But it'd be nice to be able to avoid all of CTE, and hopefully in the future there will be much less of that. But
how about the difference, speaking along the change in technology, how about the difference just in players today understanding body and rehab and recovery more than they would have in the mid-'80s, when you just didn't have some of that information available, versus what you have now to be able to track sleep and all of the things.
So there's a lot of good things, and sleep rings. We have 2 devices on every basketball player for every practice that gives us more information than we need to know. But it gives us good information, especially like if I'm trying to get someone back from a ankle or knee injury, I can really look at the statistics about how much they're doing and how much I want to progress them and everything. So that's good information. When you first say that, sometimes though, when the NBA started load management, some of that was good, And then, when you have high school kids talking about load management, it's like, you haven't proven yourself yet. How about giving maximum effort?
But there's some. So how far does the typical player run during a game or a practice? Are you at the 5 mile mark?
3-hour practices, we were getting up to 6 pretty easily.
Yeah.
But, that was only one coach that did the 3 hours.
But 3.5 to 5 miles per day is a reasonable number.
Reasonable. Even
Or
some of the
average
coaches even condensed it down more as the season went on to try and save legs.
Sure.
And also, you look at last year, we were only using 7 or 8 players.
Yes.
So 2.75 to 3.5 would
But some
be
of
good.
that's because it was a conscious effort to dial it back. In
Exactly.
1987, it wouldn't have necessarily been that.
No.
You wouldn't have understood that. Yeah.
No, not at all. And then plus in 87, we didn't have the 20-hour a week rule or anything like that.
Sure.
So, when you're winning, things are good. And maybe you don't practice long, but I can remember some long practices after some losses,
See, that's what's amazing. You talk about things we just gloss over and go with. I mean, just take the 3 miles. You're running 3 miles every day. And I know they're young and in great shape, which is an easier bounce back than any of us have. That's a lot by the time you get into February and March. That is a ton of tax on your body, and it's hard 3 miles. It's not a leisurely 3 miles.
Right.
It's
It's intense constantly.
Like it's
Right.
wind sprints for 3 miles.
Yeah. And for the most part, probably 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, over the course of your career, I mean, you've seen it all. So, in your role, did you always stay in your lane with just the medical part, or did you have moments or relationships with coaches where you felt compelled or necessary to give a coach additional information about a player and what a player might be going through mentally or other aspects of that player than just the physical?
Yes. Definitely. I'd like to say I filtered and pick and choose along those lines because I don't want to set the player up for failure because he's probably already in a stressful situation. So you want to protect that player, but you also want the coach to know certain things. But if you give them almost too much information, then it might be, I hate to say punishment, or they might look down upon them or something. And, you don't want to make things worse for the player. But there's sometimes maybe you need to let the coach know that this person's suffering something else that's going on in their life that is affecting them. And I mean, we know mental health has been a much bigger issue now than it was in the 80s. So, there's definitely been times where I've confided in coaches to let them know more than just the physical aspect. Yeah.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They will not take no for an answer. In fact, what they do is specialize in the field of Social Security disability claims and military disability benefit claims. Sometimes something happens. We were talking about injuries here, and sometimes something happens and folks are knocked out of their opportunity to work, sometimes forever. So Social Security disability benefits are there for you, but they're not easy to get. So the folks at Jan Dills, attorneys at law, are there to help you, to guide you through the process, which is a difficult challenge. So if you or someone that you know is preparing for either a Social Security or military disability claim, visit the folks at Jan Dills, attorneys at law, based right here in Parkersburg. 3 Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by Comax Business Systems. Randy's a big water guy, right? He feels
Hydration important.
All about
Hydration's big.
hydration.
All right.
Yeah, well, right now they have got some unbelievable units that can get the big plastic jugs and the bottles out of your break room or out of your place. You don't need them. For our business owners out there, they've got these water machines. Hoppy particularly loves the I-12 water cooler.
One of my favorites.
He
Who
fills
doesn't,
he fills his Tudor's travel mug up with it. Sleek design, cutting-edge technology, separate water delivery, production of 44 pounds, Jerry West number, 44 pounds of ice and additional storage, perfect for any business workplaces. Visit the folks at ComaxWV.com.
You know about Randy, which I didn't know. We were talking beforehand when he was giving me physical therapy. Big biker.
Oh, huge. Got big. He's got the world's largest bike holder on the back of his car.
No,
It
isn't.
is a
It's
large.
just, no, it is large. It's just a 2 bike though. I've seen the 4 and
That's a
5
big.
out
That's
there,
a big. That's a big
there's only
holder.
2 of us, so.
COVID, did it about damn near kill you?
So, you look at 41 years, and I always tell people, I feel like I only have had 3 bad years, and it was in the last 5 years, and COVID was the start of it. So yeah, COVID was awful. We furloughed many of our staff was furloughed, which was not uncommon in the university settings across the country. And so we were really down a lot of people. And on my side of campus, there's only me and another person for all the sports over there. So at the beginning, I was in a hazmat suit swabbing people, and that was not the nose swab. It was, yeah. And so I was the only one swabbing everybody on that side of campus. Yeah, and then
You had a hazmat suit.
I had a hazmat suit because that's how you start it.
Yeah.
You look back at some of the stuff from the beginning. Yeah, you almost laugh, but that's
We didn't
what I was
know.
doing.
Nobody-
Yeah,
you
you
didn't
didn't
know.
know, and I'm out there in a 90-degree weather and in a hazmat suit, swabbing everybody, and then the amount of spreadsheets and what you do to keep track of the testing 3 times a week for everybody, what you do to keep track of all your positives, and then the retest. And I mean, I had spreadsheets out the wazoo, and I was testing out the wazoo. It was awful.
It was.
It was awful.
Yeah. And then games played in front of no one
Yeah.
and masks on.
Yeah.
Coaches didn't want to put their mask on, had half a mask on, half a mask off. It's when you look back on it, it was like this massively bad dream that we all lived through.
Really, really was. And then, I was doing everything I could just to keep the team on the court. Once we, got back into a somewhat more normal routine, and we're actually playing and everything. But some people wanted to do the political argument and everything like that, and I'm like, I am just doing what I can do to try and keep people on the team. I don't want to get into the politics of all this.
Sure.
I'm not pro-COVID just because I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I understand the rules and regulations, and this is what we have to do. Sorry about the politics.
Yeah, because you don't want to be the guy that lets someone go and then they spread the whole thing out there, and all of a sudden now you don't have games.
Right. Or I didn't follow a protocol correctly, and just because we didn't follow the protocol, we're being punished.
Yeah.
And you had county health, you had the national, CDC. I mean, and then you had the Big 12 rules, you had NCAA rules. There was so many rules, and they were constantly changing. And so, I mean, I said, as of today or as of right now, this is the rule. And, it could change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the county, anyone could change, and it could affect us. And I had to try and stay up to date with all those. And the team physicians were absolutely great too. But we weren't fighting. Again, I was just trying to
100%.
keep people on the court.
Well, and health professionals, whether it's at your level or at the highest levels, in my opinion, I think did an historic job of dealing with a black swan event, an unprecedented event. And because of that, I know this will be controversial to some, because of that, lives were saved. Lives were saved. And people stayed healthy because people did, like you and others, did the right things.
Yeah.
Agree?
I agree, yes.
We'll meander away from that right now.
Yeah.
All right,
if I never hear COVID again, I will be happy.
One of the things people may not be aware of is, besides the position that you held on a day-to-day basis with basketball, you are also a instructor, professor, teacher. How many sections would you teach a semester?
Early on, they tried to have me. I taught one in the spring, but that wasn't very successful because of travel. So that didn't last very long.
Professor will not be here today.
Yeah. So I ended up teaching 2 in the fall for many, many years, and then guest lecture at different things at different times at that. But our athletic training program was in undergrad for several years, and I think it was 2022 or 23. It went to the graduate level totally. So I have not taught, except guest lecture, the last few years. But yeah, I taught for many years those 2 classes, and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think people would be astounded to know the number of athletic trainers that this university and you guys have produced and where they are.
I think
and give some examples just of the program or the teams.
Well, some of the teams. So one of my ex-students just became the head athletic trainer with the Boston Celtics. So that's pretty good.
Heard of them. Heard of them.
Yeah, one of our alums is also now going to be back with Dallas. So we had a pretty famous guy down at LSU too, and
Jack Marucci.
Yeah, Jack Marucci. And then we've had there was one time we had the most in the NFL, but we haven't looked at that statistically yet. But we have several within the NFL. We have physicians, PTs, PAs.
That's one of the great untold stories from a university standpoint of how prominent and successful the athletic training curriculum is.
Yes.
It's considered one of the best in the nation.
Yes. And we're celebrating our 50th this summer, that second weekend of July. So we're looking forward to that. We celebrated the 40th in 2015. Then something interrupted it in 2020, which I don't want to mention again.
Yeah.
So, so hopefully we'll have several come back. For several years, I've been the keeper of the WVU Athletic Training Alumni Listserv, and we have over 700 alumni that are on that.
Wow.
So, we do have a large amount of alumni from here, and many, many of them have gone on to very successful careers.
Amazing.
It is. It's
Most
incredible.
freakish athlete that you've been around in the 40 years?
Oh, good question.
Can you? And there's been a lot. Can you identify one above all others?
That's a good road trip. We always ask these kind of questions when we're on road trips.
Yeah. One that stands out, I think, is dealing with basketball. I've had exposure to a lot of other sports too, either through supervision or, again, we didn't, way back we didn't have as many athletic trainers, so you'd cover more events. But we've been blessed with a lot. But with basketball, I think Joe Alexander.
I thought that's the first name that came in my
Yeah.
head.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. He was a freakish athlete. Yeah.
Can you explain him physiologically?
Good question, Hop.
Quick muscle. His muscle fibers. He was quick twitch, and he could jump through the roof, and he could run. He's fairly strong. He didn't look like that, but obviously we've had stronger athletes, but the ability to do everything he did, and
In a 6'8" body.
yeah,
It wasn't like he was a 5'10" dude running around with their 6'8" body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
All right.
Elite second jumper. Elite second jump. Oscar Shibwe.
Second jump. Yeah.
Second jump.
Well, he was a quick second jumper.
Boy,
Yeah,
he's a pogo stick now.
Sagaba Kanadi.
Well.
He could jump too now.
Quick.
Very
Up.
quick. Yeah, that shot blocking. Yeah.
Lester could jump.
Lester could jump. They kind of listed him at 6'4". Yeah, he could jump very well too. So old school. Old Phil Wilson. He was a pretty good shot blocker also.
Well, yeah. At one time was the all-time leading shot
Yeah.
blocker.
Yeah.
He was long. His arms were long.
Yeah, but he was. A lot of that's timing too.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Now you have to answer this.
Huh?
You can't run away from this.
You can't tell him what to answer. He'll decide how he's going to answer.
I was hedging.
You can ask the question. He'll answer.
I was just hedging my bet.
What if he
Okay.
chooses not to answer? What if it's a
I choose.
I
Not,
actually
I
think we
choose
want.
not to run.
I think we want to hear the answer to this. So this will be a good one. Go ahead. You got to answer this. He's right. You got to answer.
just answer the question, Mr. Matter?
41 years. Give me your top 5 players. If you were the general manager, you're the general manager. You get to make picks.
Wait, is he choosing that based on position?
Yeah.
Like, does he have to have a couple guards, 3 forwards? You got to do it that way?
Thank you, Brad. Who's your? You're building a team. Who's your point guard?
Oh my gosh, this is.
It's a question.
I know it's a question, but I
listen.
feel like you leave.
You don't
people
have
out,
to say Missoula. He's not giving you tickets anyway, so he doesn't have to be the point guard.
No, yeah, he could lead, but yeah.
Who's your point guard?
Who's my point guard? I don't know. You got old school. You go walking the wall. Between the
Yeah, I
film
know.
room and
Yeah, I
the, in the coach's locker room, you got the.
Who do you want as your
Mess
point-
does, the 10 years at a time, like top 5, 6 players. Point guard. I don't know, Juwan Staten, Javon Small. I mean,
Darius?
Javon Small doesn't get enough credit with the situation last year with how few players we had.
Yeah.
D Nice, yeah. I mean, how many mistakes did he make? You know,
0.
He's so quiet.
About 3 in 4 years.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
you're all done.
Talking about
you
Darius
know.
Nichols. D nice.
Yeah,
Darius Nichols.
Mhm.
Yeah, another great point guard. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Where's Deshaun on your all-time team?
Oh, he's up there. There's no doubt. But, personality wins you over. But I think he had some pretty good statistics, too, to back it up. So.
Third all-time leading scorer.
Pretty good clutch guy, too. You
Yeah.
could give him the
Yeah.
ball at the end of
Yes.
the game, something good would
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
That last year, Deshaun was just like, when it was on the line, like, just give him the ball, right, Brad?
Yes.
Give him the ball, get out of the way.
Six or 7 games he won at the gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, but you look back at those, a lot of those were won, like I said, after the last timeout. We just hung there, stayed there. Then all of a sudden we'd win it over in the last few minutes.
What was going through your mind, speaking of Deshaun, when at the Final Four, when Deshaun went down?
Well, obviously that was absolutely awful. Deshaun has a lot of personality and everything. And, obviously he was crushed. I mean, we all see the pictures and videos and that and everything. But, his humor, he has an excellent sense of humor too. And he came out, he goes, next time I think I'll just pull up and shoot the jumper. That probably would have been a good choice. But, yeah, so unfortunate. ACLs happen, but, in the Final Four with a packed stadium. With
That player
situation,
at that
time.
moment in that game.
With an NBA career
Yeah.
waiting for you next, that was a hard situation,
Oh,
in
that was
addition to just the injury.
Right.
That was a tough
right.
spot, yeah.
Yeah. So, but we got to spend a lot of time together the next 10 years or so because he would continue to play, continue to come back in the summer from Europe or wherever and work with him for 3 or 4 months, send him back out. He'd come back, try and work on the knee again. So, he ended up having 3 surgeries. And
Wow.
yeah,
That was a bad one, huh?
They missed on a couple of those surgeries. We can say it. They did. Wasn't here. Happened somewhere else.
Yeah, it was a long road, and he persevered and, provided for his family by playing overseas and did the most he could with a pretty bad knee. So I give him a lot of credit and everything. I think he's doing pretty well now. Or Joe feels sorry for him.
Put Joe's injury into perspective because here's a guy that had to go shoot with his offhand. It was so bad. Talk us through that. No HIPAA. Go.
Well, so
Joe Mazzulla we're talking about.
Yeah, Joe. When you come to Tough Guy Awards,
He's
Joe's
there.
up. Yeah, Joe's at the top. And so that injury happens, and it goes undiagnosed because it's not a common injury. This it was called osteochromial, and which rotator cuff dislocation, shoulder separation. Those all terms we've at least heard. This osteochromial is actually where part of his clavicle didn't fuse, and actually there was 2 parts in his that didn't fuse
At birth.
At birth, yeah, it's never fused. So it's like a young bone in there. And when he got hit in that shoulder, it kind of displaced and obviously caused this pain. And they eventually had to have surgery on that. But him being left-handed, he taught himself how to shoot right-handed. Go back to that Kentucky game. They just let him go, and wouldn't even pay attention to him because you're not going to shoot it and everything. And it was amazing that he's very hard-nosed, very disciplined, and you give him a challenge, he'll overcome it. Don't challenge him, he'll go right in your face and everything, and he'll figure something out to get around it.
Speaking of guys tough guys, played with pain, Nate Adrian's one of the guys that comes on this show.
That's
Pain
exactly
threshold's
right.
way up.
Yeah,
for him,
Joe
right?
Mazzulla, and then I was going to go Nate, and sometimes I say Nate's my last tough guy, so because he played with multiple injuries too that weren't always publicized,
Yeah.
and he played right through them and everything.
Horrific shoulder there at the end when that Gonzaga game
Yeah,
we've talked about many times.
yeah. So yeah, Nate's definitely a tough guy.
Just like you, Hop.
No, I'm not.
Nate played through his shoulder. Hoppy's got an IT band. We got to have 72 people. take
If
care
I
of him.
if I often say that if I were one of the 10 children going across the prairie in the 1840s, there'd be a small unmarked grave there. Had to leave one behind.
They'll never leave you behind at GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card and immediately begin saving on food and fuel. You need to get this, Randy, as you get into retirement, because they've got some unbelievable things. All you got to do is download this app, the GoMart app. Like, there's one thing on here where you can play a video game on the site, on the web, and you save 20 cents a gallon off your gas. Yeah. You test them all. Collect 15,000 coins to earn 20 cents off per gallon of gas. Like, all you got to do is do it out now. And right now, 2 for $7, Lay's dip and potato chips. Buy one, get one on corn nuts. Not a lot of people take advantage of that one. Plus, they got a Kit Kat in there. Seriously, I was over there the other day, as big as a sheet of drywall. Got a Kit Kat that
Basically,
big.
the whole aisle is one big Kit Kat.
Is one big Kit Kat, and they got a Slim Jim that's so big. If you buy it and you put it in the bed of your pickup, you got to put one of those red flags,
Like you do lumber.
like lumber. The dangle. That's how big of a Slim Jim they're
You got to
selling.
leave your gate down in the back because it sticks out the back.
So download that app, GoMart,
Nice tailgate
save on your
reference.
food and fuel. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, celebrating its 40th anniversary. And when you last 40 or 41, like Randy's done, and like Lou Wendell, you know what it means? You're legit. You've stood the test of time. They're the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state. They sell Avalon pontoon boats, which are made in Michigan, plus those G3 John boats that are just fantastic. Check them out. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. They're in St. Albans. You can visit or just go on the website, LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Randy, what has been your historic go-to for players who are supposed to be rehabbing, but maybe aren't as devoted to the rehabilitation process as they should be?
Well, I like to try and start with myself and, really reach out to them, take them aside, private. What's up? We need to do this to get better. We need to do this to get you where you're supposed to be. Sometimes they're just struggling with it. Maybe they've not been injured before and don't totally understand what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that works. Sometimes maybe they're lazy, or maybe sometimes in 40 years we've had a few turds. Maybe they don't want to do it.
That might be a T-shirt. We've had a few turds.
We've had a few trips.
So, maybe you can reach out. Maybe there's an assistant coach, a strength coach, teammate. Maybe someone else can help find the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately you can obviously go to the head coach, and they'll usually find, treadmills
Motivate
or
'em.
tires or some type of motivation to help them get there.
Yeah.
So
Do you find that most, generally speaking, most will do what's necessary?
Oh yeah, most are motivated. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, and that's one big reason why I wanted to stay in an athletic setting. I mean, I didn't want to work with workman's comp or,
With all due respect.
All due respect.
All due
Yeah.
respect to
All due
workers' comp, yeah.
For people
Sorry.
like me, old guys that are at physical therapy. And
Mm-hmm. I wish we had the foam roller here, because he said it's going to be extremely painful. I would have loved to see him take you down on the floor and roll that thing over there just so I could see you wince in pain.
it does. Well, Randy will tell you it hurts.
It's going to hurt.
but you
You got to go through that to get better.
right?
Hypothesis,
True.
agree or disagree, and probably you and I are probably one of the few guys that can make this argument since we did it. I maintain that travel and the wear down on the body was harder in the Atlantic 10 than the Big 12.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's Atlantic 10, a lot of bus, and then the commercial flights, because we didn't have the charters back then. So that you get back to Pittsburgh, you still got an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, because it's baggage claim, back on the bus, load the bus. Yeah.
Here's my contention. It's a Wednesday game. Let's say we're playing at Rhodey on a Wednesday. We're leaving the Coliseum at 11. We're going to the Pittsburgh airport.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
On Tuesday. We're leaving at 11. We're going to get to the Pittsburgh airport. We're going to jack around there. We're going to fly off at like 3 o'clock. We get to Rhode Island probably like 6 o'clock by the time we get on the bus. We practice there in the gym at night.
Yep.
Get up the next morning.
Teeny.
Yeah, teeny keeny. Go to the walkthrough, play the game, go back to the hotel, leave the hotel at about 10 in the morning.
On Thursday now.
On Thursday now,
yeah.
leave the hotel, get to the airport, fly back to Pittsburgh, get on the bus, come back down. One road game. You left Tuesday at 11, and now you're back Thursday about 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Yeah.
That's one road game. Now, you know what the deal is. Basically, we're in the 38, 36 hours by the time you leave and you come all the way back. It's like, I just think first class seats.
Yeah.
I say it's easier, even though you're going farther. Well,
It's still a challenge. I mean, there's parts of me that want to agree with you, but there's parts too. I mean, when you're getting back at sometimes, we've gotten back at 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen daylight coming back. That's a challenge, and you got to take care of yourself on the road. And if people aren't eating or drinking right or getting the right rest, it is still a challenge. But total time, no comparison.
Yeah.
Now, Atlantic 10, remember we used to combine Rhode Island and Mass.
Oh, sure.
Or
like Utah, we became citizens of Utah this year.
Yeah.
we were
That was
there.
That was a rare 3-week trip. We were in Utah.
Yeah.
Next year it'll be Arizona. We'll think of
State
you when we're
taxes
in
there,
Arizona.
Virtual.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, but no, the travel is definitely a challenge, but having the charters has definitely improved the situation. There's no doubt about that. But you still need to be aware of, because we're jumping time zones,
Yeah.
and that's a little bit harder on the body. And the amount of time in the air causes more dehydration too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a non-pop drinker, so very anti-caffeine. So,
You don't do any caffeine at all? You don't do any caffeine at all?
no.
Coffee?
He frowns on us when we go on our coffee walks on the
Oh,
road.
you
He does
do?
not think that's a good move.
Oh, you're a coffee hater.
I'm high on life. No, I don't do that. No, I don't do
Interesting.
caffeine.
I think our listeners may be surprised to know, and they're not going to like you for this.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
They may be surprised to know that it's just part of the deal that when the officials that are working the game come into the arena, oftentimes they limp. They have ambulation disorder. They can't walk because they've just gone 5 days in a row. You guys provide athletic training, or I should say physical therapy, whatever. Walk us through a little bit, like what do most officials come in for?
Well, there's a variety. And there's one official that kind of got banned.
Oh, really?
And,
I need to know this story. You can go with this. You're done, dude. Go.
So our athletic trainer at Kansas, we kind of like him a lot because he got one guy banned from coming to the athletic training room.
So what would this guy do?
Well, he'd come in and say, I need about a 5-minute stretch. And about 35 to 45 minutes later, you're like, I got other people to take care of too. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not all about you. And one official maybe kind of thought it was all about him.
Oh, I got to get the name after because he won't spill
yeah.
the beans.
And it didn't necessarily help us get calls on those nights when you were there.
No. But him and the Kansas guy got at it. And
Basically,
so-
the Kansas side said, guys, dude, I got to get guys ready. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we're here for the student athlete. I can't tell you how many officials I've taken care of.
Yeah, what do they normally just they need to
Just a few things. Or maybe
Pre-game.
I got an Achilles. Okay, well, do this. We treat it, moist heat, whatever, stretch it out, tape it. Yeah, that's not a big deal. But you got to manage your time on game day, and you can't spend an enormous
sure.
amount of time with one person that isn't even on your team and doesn't give you calls. So
I'm totally for it. Yeah.
Every treatment should equal a call.
Or
would be
every
worth
5
it.
minutes of treatment
That'd
should
be
get
worth
you a
it.
call.
Yes,
at least.
exactly.
Who are some
then
of
I
your,
should have had more Final Fours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's some of your favorite officials? Who'd you like?
I don't like naming names. Again,
That's okay. You're not saying they're bad guys. I mean,
He doesn't want to
No,
leave somebody out.
I hate
They don't
trying
care.
to leave someone.
He's met a bunch of wonderful officials over the years.
Yeah.
Wonderful men who
Fine
make
men.
the right calls all the time.
Do a wonderful
Tony,
job.
just because Tony, you're trying to draw him into your world because you are constantly
Always complaining.
complaining about officials, and you want to name names, and you want company. You want company in that, and Randy's a good guy, and he's not willing to do that.
Never
so
think
move
you're
on.
never think you're getting enough calls. Always complain.
I disagree with your assertion that I don't like officials. I have great respect for them. Some of them have better days than others at times. And for the record, I was not one of the broadcasters this year at WVU's press table that had an official look at me and go, it wasn't me.
He was saying hello. He was waving to me, acknowledging, hey, good to see you.
It wasn't me. I'm just saying that. So you can make
Saying
your
good to see you.
assertion.
Told him he was doing a fine job, doing an excellent job. When he'd come over for you, he'd say, you're doing an excellent job. He was just pointing back. So thank you. Like when you make a good pass on the basketball floor and it's a lead to an assist, the guy that scores is supposed to look at the passer and point, like acknowledging good job. That's what was happening. He misinterprets. Guy was pointing, saying, great job, great night. He heard my take on the review and was acknowledged. That's a great take. I think that's what I saw happening.
In fairness, we've gone down a rabbit hole. Let's let Randy off the hook on that.
Thank
you.
I just thought it might be interesting for our listeners to know that refs, I mean, because they work every night, they come in, man, like they need ice, they need heat, they need some stem sometimes in order to get them tape. And some guys really, there's a lot of tape, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talked about our travel. Think about those official travel. And that's a valid complaint from some coaches that their travel is way too much and they're beat down and
don't have a good night. Yeah,
they may be past their prime and they may just be totally exhausted too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but when you're getting $4,000 or $5,000 a night, it's tough to say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this anymore."
Well, I wouldn't know, but I agree with you.
But you also need officials to keep coming up and develop. You need more.
Definitely.
So the issue starts at the lower level. You got to get guys developing. Hard profession to get into.
Can you give me a couple of your favorite all-time games?
I was going to go. What about Pat Driscoll though?
Pat Driscoll, greatest call in the history of Mountaineer basketball.
It was a tremendous call, the right call
at the Big East tournament.
I was going to go. You remember he was a student manager at St. Bonnie.
That's a great story.
So go back to Atlantic 10, and you used to have a manager host you when you went in there the day before for practice and everything. Yeah. Pat Driscoll was a student manager at St. Bonnie and worked his way up through the ranks, and then we get to know him and see him on the floor and everything.
And so he made the greatest call for the Mountaineers. He's the one that called the foul against
Big East tournament.
Nova, put Gansey on the line to win it.
It was a clear push by the Villanova guy.
No question.
Excellent.
It was a right call.
0.6 left on the clock. Got to call it. Foul happened. Call it. Did.
Right call.
Perfect call.
Give me a couple of your favorite games.
Well, Kentucky, I mean, making it to the Final Four. I mean, geez, Pete's. It's only 40, 41 years, and I get to go to one Final Four,
And some never. And some never. Yeah, and some
never, but some are more frequent, and you're jealous.
Sure.
But yeah.
That was a great one.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Big East championship game.
Big East
Same year.
Championship. Yep.
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest up there in Cleveland. Definitely. That was a good one. I had one sick son there, though, that just threw up the whole game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He
just got sick.
Green. Yeah. They blame it on one restaurant, but I won't mention it.
Yeah, we won't.
I don't think Bev or him.
No, we just let that
restaurant.
Statute of limitations is over. So Wake, Kentucky.
Big East championship.
Big East championship game.
I mean, I enjoyed some of those old Temple things. I mean, how about when Chaney got thrown out of the Coliseum
in
the locker room?
That was an unbelievable Saturday.
Was that the same night that everybody had Chaney masks?
No, well, it was in that era, but Phil Bova was the official that booted him.
Wow, Tony.
Phil Bova he was like, they must have had a thing going because he wasted no time. He just drilled him. It was about 3 or 4 minutes
Two tees right away.
And Chaney goes in and has to sit in the locker room for the rest of the game. And one of the administrators, went in and went like, "Hey man, you need anything?"
Oh gosh!
And Chaney just went off on him. I want to tell you something.
That was a great. He was
a great villain, though, right? A great guy to dislike as an opponent.
Yes,
right.
And you know what he was? He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was a really nice guy.
He had a temper, though. He had
a temper.
Oh,
he had a temper. He was going to kill John Calipari.
I'll kill you.
That Atlantic 10 was it had just enough edge on it, man. It was just a little bit, it was edgy, which was good.
Jerry Gimbelstaub at GW.
There was always some crap.
There was.
You remember that time here's one for you. Let's talk about this a little bit. St. Joe's, West Virginia, at St. Joe's, where you went in the locker room, thought that you won the game, and then they came back out and said, actually, basket doesn't count. And, what was his name? The commissioner.
Berdovich.
No, Berdovich? It wasn't Ron. It was the Charlie Theokas.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Theokas was at Penn State. They get him the report. Long story short, so they took the basket away from West Virginia after, and they went in, and Gail said, well, you can't do that. And they go, Gail, I'm sorry about that.
Brought it back out of the locker room.
Brought it back out.
How'd Cat handle that? Was he happy?
Not well. But then eventually they came back out, big press release the next day, and they gave him the basket back and said, no, you can't do it. Once you leave the floor, you can't change the score. But it was some bullcrap Philadelphia scorekeeper guy. I knew who the guys was. He was a big, I don't know the name, I'm not going to say it, Big Five guy. Came back and said, oh, you can't do that. And those guys were already off the floor. And they tried to change the score. But there was always that, like, crazy shenanigans. There was always shenanigans that I thought, doesn't exist.
There was you had some good rivalries in that league.
You absolutely did.
I know it wasn't in basketball terms. It wasn't a great respected league nationally, but you had good rivalries.
Definitely.
Yeah. You had to go up to try to get to Bonna and go up there and play.
Well, in the golden era, right? So this hoppy was preceding Atlantic 10 and probably Eastern 8 that you would remember. I wasn't here yet, but I've heard the stories. Dale Miller, our former president, would organize buses, and they would take a bunch of buses here to the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh for Duquesne games.
Yes,
right.
I've been on those bus trips.
Yeah.
We Dale Miller would put together, it'd be like 4 buses, and people would buy tickets, and I'd go collect the tickets, go up to the Duquesne game. BB Flannery, go be BB Flannery.
Like Dale, go, come on, man, we're gonna get a bunch of buses. We're gonna go to Duquesne. Let's go.
But that was a Catlett era, and there was a lot of excitement.
Absolutely,
yeah,
that was good. I mean, Cat had it going. I mean, there was a buzz in that building. Good games.
Randy, were you here when Catlett tore his coat? Was that before you?
So yeah, he'll tell you that story. That's a good story. Yeah. So Cat ripped his jacket during the game.
Cat jumped up during the game. Jumped up something and rips the back out of his coat. and so our radio station WAJR put together this campaign like get Cat a new coat. And people sent in pieces of material.
Oh my gosh.
And this woman made the coat, and it actually looked very nice. It was a very well done coat. So it's this coat with all these different patches. And Catlett, to his credit, wears the coat the next game.
No, I don't.
I
don't remember that.
And West Virginia wins, and somebody asked him at the press conference, Coach, you're going to wear that coat again? He says, "Well, no, look like Corky the Clown. I'm not going to wear that coat again." But it was a great era, and you came in just early on. But the point is, Randy, you've been around a long time. It's just how many? I mean, you could write a book because I'm sure you have a lot of wonderful memories.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wish I could. I give John Antonick a lot of credit for the books he's written.
Yeah,
he claims he's done after this Bobby Bowden book. I think he should write one with you.
I wouldn't mind or helping him. I mean, he's the writer.
Here's another thing we didn't bring up. So these staffs have gotten larger through the years. You used to be in charge of travel.
Yeah, travel.
Really? We went on the road. Post-game meals, and travel.
Meals,
and now think about this. Travel when it was commercial. Dude.
Keeping all the tickets, changing flights.
Oh
man. Could make me bald and gray.
Yeah. Think about all of that.
Yeah.
And that's when tickets were tickets. And he's, sometimes these knuckleheads like, hey, Randy, like, I lost my ticket.
Like, yeah. U.S. Air.
Oh.
The U.S. Air counter.
Yeah. Somebody just had PTSD from the U.S. Air counter.
See, those are, you were in charge at per diem. You got to do this, distribute this, go here. Oh, man.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. It just fell naturally on the athletic trainer for years and years. That was, back in that era, was part of the job. And then you started getting, directors of basketball operations and everything else. So we'd split duties for a while, and now the staffs are so large. Don't worry about that.
So this was not here. This was at another school that I'm aware of, but the athletic trainer used to do all the travel and would get all of the points on the flights and on the hotels. And every summer, my man would vacation.
I missed out on that.
He would vacation. It was a somewhat of a regular opponent for us, but yeah, that was a good deal. 3 guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Whenever Randy rides his bike, he knows that he should have a couple of Tudor's biscuits inside of him because they are filling, tasty, quite delectable and delightful. So if you're looking to start your day the homemade way, visit Tudor's biscuits, no matter what. Over 70 locations currently taking franchise opportunities, and which is even nice. Right now, you can sign yourself up to win a $100 gift card. You heard me right, a $100 gift card, and it's super easy to do. All you have to do is go to this website, votetutorsmerch.com. votetutorsmerch.com. They're asking you to pick the winning designs for their fall merchandise that's got a bunch of iconic things about the state of West Virginia. Once you do that, they'll get your name. You're entered in. You're going to win a $100 gift card at Tudor's Biscuit World.
Tony, while we have Randy here, another Mountaineer, Jared West, has been named the head coach of
Jared West, yeah.
Of Best Virginia.
Hey, so the 98 trip
Cincinnati.
to Boise, that's one of the all-time great trips.
And victories. There's another great victory. Yeah.
So
Couple
the
of
fun,
them, right? Temple first.
Yeah.
Remember,
What was it?
at a 9 a.m. early tip out there in Boise, 9 a.m. local tip.
Yeah.
Because it was a noon game, even though we were
9
playing in
a.m..
Boise. Yeah. Lined up, drilled them, then got hugs in Cincinnati, that loaded Cincinnati team at the end.
we always kid about that, Randy, because you remember we didn't come back home.
No,
We went Boise to Anaheim, and a lot of people, because the team hadn't been playing well, people thought,
Went back.
We're
had to
going
go
back.
to Walmart.
yeah, we went to the Walmart.
Yep.
Went to Walmart and Eddie Passline just said, like, get whatever y'all need to get.
At Walmart.
At Walmart. Yeah, get whatever you need to get. And because we just went straight from Boise to Anaheim.
And
What you
then
need to
that
get.
Utah game, I mean, if we could have gotten them.
Well, I got some horse crap calls.
Horrible technical
Yeah.
foul called there.
Carl Williams.
Carl Weathers in the towel.
And they were just absolutely,
What was the technical?
We missed a shot. He threw the towel on the ground.
and it slipped out of his
slid on the
hand. He didn't try
cord.
to throw it.
Oh,
It slipped.
He kind of
You
like
must have
throwing
Carl on the show then.
I'm not going to mention the official's name, Dave Libby, who gave a bunch of bad calls on Michael Doliak, and Brian Lewin got in foul trouble, and that was
Changed
the end
the
of that.
Yeah.
Changed the entire game.
Yeah. That was a great team there.
Yeah, it was.
Jarrett West and Brent Solheim, all those guys living together down
Great
there.
guys.
Still see Damien.
Yeah,
Stops up all the time.
yeah, that was a good team, man.
Yeah.
Those are good dudes.
Good team, good dudes.
Yeah.
Good dudes. Good dudes. Randy, is there anything that we haven't asked you that you'd like to talk about?
I just hate saying I'm bragging, but in all the years, I've never missed a game.
Wow.
Exhibition, overseas, or regular.
So total number of games.
I have no idea.
Oh, you got to add that up.
I want to do that sometime. Shelley Poe did it for me a few years ago when I had 500, but it's been a few years since Shelley was
Oh,
here.
you're so far past that.
So
You're far
I
past
don't
that.
know if Messerly or John would do that, but yeah, I need to do that sometime.
Randy,
but I
you-
think that'll be after July 1.
You're over 1,000.
Randy, you're a 1,400 to 1,500 guy.
Yeah.
When you think, if you just do the average and just say, let's just do it for the hell of it. Let's just go.
Say 41 times.
No, not 41. Let's just
40.
be really conservative. You think 40, Randy, including
40, yeah. My first year as a GA at football, so.
With 40 times 30.
Times 30.
Which
Which
is
will be under.
1,200.
Let's do 33 games. Let's do 40. That's 1,320 games if you do 40 years at 33 games a year, which I think is fair. And then add in exhibition, and then add in all those European tours.
Yeah.
You're 1,500, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Never missed.
Never missed. So,
Gosh.
Well,
yeah,
that's a
I
heck
mean,
of
a lot of
run
it's
there.
luck. I mean, you think of births and
Mhm.
I hate to say funerals, but my father-in-law passed. We had a game in Cincinnati, and it was in Cincinnati. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky just on those things. But so I've never missed a game.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
I think you're
Should
going to
be.
be. I think you're going to be a Hall of Fame, a national athletic trainer Hall of Fame member.
No, I don't think so. I
Well,
appreciate it, but
If they got
yeah.
if they got any sense,
Yeah.
they'll do it.
Hall of Famer here.
How the hell do you have that? How the hell do you have that run and not do that's what they're looking
Yeah.
for. That's what they're looking for. All right, we'll get that taken care of. We do a lot of things around here.
Oh,
We
here we
do.
go.
We can get
Tony
that-
just overpromised once
We
again.
get that done.
Randy, we would love to see that, but just don't count on that yet.
Don't
because-
count on us.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not.
Maybe
counting
his
on it.
resume will get him in, probably not
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something. If we got that sign in Martinsburg away from the fish company and got the popcorn sign, we can certainly get him in the Hall of Fame.
That's kind of apples and oranges.
No,
but,
it's same thing.
Well, they're both no-brainers.
Thank you so much
Well, true, the Hall
for
of Fame
doing
and
this.
getting
We
the fish
appreciate
sign
it.
out off the
Can
restaurant that
I
was
give a
not
shout
fish.
out to Bev, Luke, and Eli?
Oh yeah,
Whoa,
go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with athletic training and basketball travel and everything, I got to give a shout out to Bev because she was always there. And then 2 kids, Luke and Eli.
Yeah.
So,
Unbelievable. It's not a job. It's not Randy's job. It's a family job. It's literally a way of life. And if they're not accepting of it, it all blows up.
Yeah.
And you got to have that commitment. If you don't have that commitment, then you got no shot. And it's an unbelievable run, as I said when we started.
Might have to probably buy clothes now because you've been wearing swag now for 40 years. So
well, I got enough of it that I think I
think you can
carry you through. It might take me all the way.
You probably have some
we
stuff.
talk about Atlantic 10 to Big East to Big 12.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we really this Nike thing's really blossomed.
Increase
We
your
were
wardrobe.
We were champion there for a while.
Yeah.
Now it's
You still have the Atlantic 10 champion shirt. You can probably break that out.
Fair to say you probably have a few things that still have the tags on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured there's still a good haul. All right, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Randy Meador, outgoing Mountaineer basketball athletic trainer, and hope you enjoy that. Just a ton of really good stuff there. 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer, by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years and keeping you hydrated. They've got every possible piece of business equipment, including water coolers, available for you. ComaxWV.com. By Gomart, download the Gomart app or go to Gomart.com and get the card. Get a Gomart rewards card, and you immediately begin saving millions of dollars. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. And by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. For our special guest, Randy Meador, for Hoppy and the Senator, special thanks to our producer, Dr. Jake. We're out. 3 Guys Before the Game, episode number 643 is completed. See y'all.